Live from the state capitol in Jackson, MPB News brings you Governor Phil Bryant's annual State of the State address, delivered to a special joint session of the Mississippi Legislature.
This joint assembly of the Mississippi Legislature is now called to order. Please find your seats. This time I'm going to recognize the Clerk of the House to read the names of the escort committees for Governor and First Lady Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lieutenant Governor Reeves and Speaker Gunn announced a committee composed of Senators Barnett, Doty, and Galat, and Representatives Formby, Thomas, and Corley to escort Governor Phil Bryant to the dais.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please bring the escort committees forward. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time it gives me great pleasure to welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Tate Reeves, to the podium to preside over this joint assembly. Please welcome Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And now allow me to introduce House Speaker Pro Tem Greg Snowden to the podium. It is an absolute honor for Pro Tem Burton and I to work with the Speaker and the Speaker Pro Tem. And at this time, I would like to recognize the President Pro Tem of the Mississippi Senate, Senator Terry Burton. We have some special guests today. The Speaker and I are very blessed to have supportive wives who put up with us during these hectic days of a legislative session. Please join me in thanking Speaker Gunn's wife, Lisa, and my wife, Ely, for joining us tonight. Thank you. Now, let's welcome our statewide elected officials tonight. First, Attorney General Jim Hood. Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann. State Auditor Stacey Pickering. And State Treasurer Lynn Fitch. Thank you for each of you being here with us tonight. At this time, I'm going to ask you to help me welcome the members of the Mississippi Supreme Court. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. First, Chief Justice William L. Waller, Jr. Presiding Justice Jess H. Dickinson. Justice James W. Kitchens. Justice Leslie D. King, Justice Josiah D. Coleman, and Justice James D. Maxwell II. Please join me in welcoming them. And now, help me welcome the members of our State Court of Appeals. Again, please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Chief Judge L. Joseph Lee. Presiding Judge Tyree Irving. Presiding Judge Kenneth Griffiths, Jr. Judge Donna Barnes. Judge David M. Ishii. Judge Virginia C. Carlton. Judge Eugene Love Fair, Jr. Judge Jack L. Wilson. Judge Jim M. Greenlee. And Judge Latrice A. Westbrooks. Now let's welcome our 3 Public Service Commissioners. Brandon Presley of the Northern District, Cecil Brown of the Central District, and Sam Britton of the Southern District. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. And now, help me welcome the 3 members of our Transportation Commission. First, Mike Taggart of the Northern District, Dick Hall of the Central District, and Tom King of the Southern District. Please join me in welcoming them. And at this time, the moment we have all been waiting for, please join me in welcoming someone who needs no introduction to this crowd, and that is our Honorable Governor of the State of Mississippi, the Honorable Phil Bryant.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I am humbled. I can tell you are in fine spirit tonight. Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, for that brief but effective introduction. And to you and to the Speaker, thank you for your service to the taxpayers of Mississippi and for your friendship to me. I am equally proud of both. Now, before the evening proceeds, you may realize that the First Lady is not with us. She's feeling a little under the weather tonight. Nothing unusual for this time of year, and some other people across this state understand that. Now, for the last 40 years, she has been my partner, mother of my children. I rarely see her down. I rarely see her slowed. I rarely see when she is prevented from attending an event such as this. I can only assume that she is sick of hearing me make speeches. But she has done a remarkable job as our First Lady, and I will be eternally proud of her service to this great state. Let me also thank the members of the House and the Senate for allowing me to use our beautiful Capitol to share this update on our accomplishments and challenges as we continue our mutual effort to make Mississippi better than ever for today's citizens and the next generation. To all state, federal, and local officials, thank you for your service and attendance here tonight. To the members of our armed forces serving here and abroad, thank you for protecting our freedoms. Although this soldier could not be with us tonight, I will announce that retired General Roy Robertson of the Mississippi National Guard was recently named President of the National Guard Association of the United States of America. A high honor. A high honor for General Robinson and Mississippi. We do have a soldier here tonight I would like to recognize with your indulgence. General Durr Bowles, who I have appointed as Adjutant General to lead the Mississippi National Guard. I will now ask this soldier to stand and receive your appreciation, General Bowles. As to our law enforcement community, here and watching at home, thank you for keeping our families safe. The first and most important responsibility of any governor is public safety. Now, across our nation, law enforcement is under attack. Here in Mississippi, most of our citizens continue to support and respect the men and women who wear the badge and protect and serve. Now, I appreciate the legislation you have introduced to protect law enforcement and show the nation that here in Mississippi, blue lives matter. 2016 was difficult for law enforcement as we saw the wounding of 3 Mississippi Bureau of Investigation agents and the tragic loss of Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics Special Agent Lee Tart during a hostage crisis. Agent Tart gave his life to save a 10-year-old little girl. We must never forget his sacrifice and the sacrifice of those who have gone before him. This year, we should dedicate ourselves to support and honor and back the badge. There's a lawman here tonight who has served this state and the Department of Public Safety for 43 years. He will be retiring at the end of the month. He returns home with our admiration and gratitude. Please help me thank Commissioner Albert Santa Cruz of the Mississippi Department of Public Safety. Commissioner. At this point, Commissioner Santa Cruz would want me to remind you we are in desperate need of a new trooper school. Currently, the Mississippi Highway Patrol stands at 161 troopers less than is statutorily allowed. Now, fortunately, this is not a dictatorial formula. However, the safety of the motoring public and the troopers serving today rests with your decision. And I ask you tonight to back the badge of our troopers and put more of them on the road. To the taxpayers who hear this message, rest assured your governor recognizes that you are sovereign. You, by the power of your vote, grant us the authority to govern. The Mississippi Constitution makes clear that all power is vested in and derived from the people. And if we, the servants of this republic, ever forget that, we are just one election away from a reminder that will be neither gentle nor pleasant. The hardworking people of this country and this state have shown us time and again that they will not tolerate being ignored or subjugated. Now I present this not as an admonition, but a friendly reminder to us all. Let us continue to do the people's work so that no one will get the mistaken belief that this Capitol is a swamp that needs draining. Fortunately, we and the people have a lot to be proud of. The number of Mississippians who are unemployed is the lowest since February of 2004. In fact, Mississippi was one of only 9 states to experience what the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics called a significant decrease in unemployment. The last 12 months we have announced, please, I'll wait. In the last 12 months, we have announced more than 6,000 new jobs from projects incentivized by this legislature through your team at the Mississippi Development Authority. These projects have generated more than $1.9 billion in private investment. According to our state economists, we are poised to see 2 consecutive years of growth in overall economic output for the first time since the Great Recession. In 2016, 23 million people visited Mississippi, a 3% increase over 2015, and the most visitors since Hurricane Katrina. Statewide visitors' expenditures were approximately $6.3 billion, more than a 2% increase over the previous year. Now, thanks to the aggressive marketing at Visit Mississippi, more people are coming to the hospitality state and leaving their effect on our bottom line. We, this great state, has been awarded a 6th consecutive Silver Shovel by Area Development Magazine. But just recently, Mississippi was awarded Business Facilities Gold Award for the top economic development deal of 2016 for Continental Tire, located right here in Hinds County. Meridian, Mr. Speaker, Meridian was selected as the location for Raytheon's T-100 assembly plant over 40 sites in 9 other states. If selected by the United States Air Force, Raytheon and his partners will be assembling the next generation of supersonic trainers at Key Field in Meridian, Mississippi. The Federal Aviation Administration has already recognized Mississippi's potential for avionic greatness by selecting Mississippi State as a National Center of Excellence for Unmanned Aerial Systems. The FAA could have selected any university in America, but chose Mississippi State. Now, unmanned aerial vehicles and systems will change the world as we know it, but not until the standards and practices have been established right here in Mississippi. As you know, we're also making great progress in public education. More than 90% of our 3rd graders passed their reading exam last year. And our 4th graders led the nation in scoring gains on their reading and math tests. Because of the work of organizations like Jobs for Mississippi Graduates, which serves at-risk high school students, our graduation rate is over 80%, which is the highest it has ever been. Now, this is not going unnoticed. The Education Commission of the States, of which I was recently honored to be voted national chairman, selected Mississippi for the Frank Newman Award. Now, this is the Heisman Trophy of public education. The Commission, which is the nation's premier education organization representing the states, recognized what we have done together to make our system of public education the most innovative in America. We're fortunate to have with us tonight the President of the Education Commission of the states, Jeremy Anderson. Jeremy, thank you for coming all this way and attending tonight. Now, these successes only come from working together and from listening to stakeholders such as teachers and principals and, most importantly, parents. Now, to personally witness the stakeholders and innovators, I recently visited the Academy of Innovation, which is part of the Vicksburg-Warren School District. The hardworking and dynamic leader of this diverse and challenged school district is Dr. Chad Shealy. The STEM program at the Innovation Academy is intentionally designed to provide personal relevance Now, Dr. Shealy believes, as do I, that all education should lead to employment. Tonight, I want you to meet Superintendent Chad Shealy and welcome back to this chamber his biggest supporter and Vicksburg Mayor George Flaggs. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. It is educational innovation and individual student opportunity that is being forged in the Vicksburg-Warren School District. Such innovation will bring about the real-world improvements and career and college readiness so desperately needed across our state. Now, each year in this speech, I address the importance of working together to better public education, and each year seems immediately following some self-appointed education advocate will appear in a pre-recorded message of opposition, claiming this governor and the legislative leadership are somehow in conflict with public education. Nothing could be further from the truth. You see, we are determined to do something no one before us has ever achieved, to make Mississippi's public education system one of the nation's finest. And we can do it together. Now, the rewards are certainly worth the risk of criticism. As risk takers, we may be successful with transformational change in public education, but if we are not, we will try again and again. It is time for all of us to be in this arena together. Last year, I made a bold request of this legislature and its leadership to create a new state agency for the singular purpose of managing our foster care system. For almost a decade, Mississippi has been under a federal court mandate to improve the way we care for our foster children. The reality is we did little to improve this system until you agreed to create the Department of Child Protection Services and invest $34 million into improving the effort. As you know, Justice David Chandler retired from the Mississippi Supreme Court to take the reins of Child Protection Services. Now, I can assure you tonight, your investment and desire for improvement in foster care has made a difference. Today, we're seeing more foster children than ever before. The most innocent among us who have struggled with neglect and abuse are receiving proper care. The improvements were sufficient in the first year alone as to compel the federal court to allow a less restrictive set of requirements and remove Mississippi from the oversight of a court monitor for the first time since 2008. Dr. Chandler and his team deserve much of the credit for this success, and they should receive our gratitude for a job well done. But it is also important to remember improvements must continue, not only because of the court order, but because it is simply the right thing to do. Now, I've dedicated my remaining time in office to ensuring our foster children get the care they deserve. It will be my top priority. We cannot and will not fail at this endeavor. Our children will be protected. Among the most serious obligations we have as representatives of the people is to appropriate their hard-earned tax dollars wisely and only on those programs and services that have clearly demonstrated benefits. Now, I understand the process of crafting a budget is difficult, and often it's thankless. The popular narrative that we don't spend enough will never subside. I've heard this refrain for each of the 25 years I've been a part of this process. Now, that being said, it is imperative we maintain the discipline of spending only 98% of available revenue in this coming fiscal year. I thank the Joint Legislative Budget Committee for choosing to do the same. It is black letter law, and we should simply abide by it. And while I acknowledge the temptation to set aside the 98% rule, the reality of doing so is a political convenience that is not without real-world consequences. Following the law and setting aside 2% of available revenue in the rainy day fund will lessen the likelihood of mid-year spending cuts if revenue should come in under projections. It will also protect the state's credit rating, in turn lowering the cost to taxpayers when we engage the capital markets. And when I came into office in 2012, Mississippi had $115 million in rainy day fund. That was 5 percentage points less than what state law allows. The funding level peaked at just more than $400 million in 2016. But budget cuts I made last year, in keeping with my statutory responsibility, have lowered it. As you know, an additional budget cut of less than 1% was recently made in accordance with my executive obligations. Now, let me provide some reality here. My first budget as governor in 2012 was $5.53 billion. The most recent adjustment to the 2017 budget, it will still be $6.26 billion, or 13% larger. That's $730 million more in government spending from state support appropriations than just 5 years ago. That's almost 3 times the rate of inflation. So any narrative implying draconian cuts in state service would simply be fake news. Tonight, I'm reminded of the words of a popular song in 1969. Can't always get what you want, but you can get what you need. Let us now go about seeing what state government really needs. My executive budget recommendation calls for an additional $57 million to be transferred to the rainy day fund at the end of the fiscal year. A recommendation I believe deserves legitimate consideration. As I said, replenishing the rainy day fund as near to the full statutory amount must be a priority this and every year. And I will also ask you to create a new and separate savings account for this year, one that will house what remains of the initial payment from the BP economic damages settlement. That nearly $110 million should go into the Gulf Coast Restoration Reserve Fund. Now, when the time comes, thank you, Gulf Coast, when the time comes to assemble the budget for fiscal year 2019, I still believe the fund should go where the worst damage occurred, our Gulf Coast. However, I think it would be wise to reserve these funds until appropriate projects and potential leveraging of other funds can be thoroughly considered. At the end of last year's session, I was proud to appoint one of your own House members as the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue. I can assure you Herb Frierson wasted no time in going to work on the improvements needed at DOR. You will soon see the results of that labor in an aggressive and I believe necessary legislative agenda that will help generate additional tax revenue without burdensome increases to taxpayers. It will, if properly implemented, help collect taxes that are owed to the state and give more ability to the Commissioner to settle tax issues that have lingered in arbitration or simply gone uncollected. I hope you will provide the same support and attention to Commissioner Frierson as when he was the House Appropriations Chair. Now, even though he's on the agency side of the appropriation equation, he will still need your vote. I also eagerly anticipate modernizing the formula we use to fund public education. Like many of you, I believe we should devote resources to education programs that have consistently achieved their stated goals and prioritize spending where the student gets the most good out of our investment. The priority should be in the classroom, not at central office. This is an idea that I hope is shared across the political aisle and by the educational lobbyists and education establishment. Our school children and their parents deserve nothing less. As I have proclaimed since my first day as a member of the House of Representatives, every taxpayer deserves a government that operates efficiently as possible. Now, while I'm proud that we have worked together to reduce waste and maximize services for the hardworking taxpayers, we can do more. State government is structured in ways that leaves it woefully fragmented, with many of the various parts operating in silos. Consolidation among agencies, boards, and commissions, many of which serve identical functions and duplicate services, may not have save a significant amount of money immediately, but would over time generate the kind of cost savings that could strengthen core functions of government like education and public safety. Now, these reforms have long been discussed but never enacted. Now, I appreciate the fact that consolidation of agencies means pushing against the status quo in its support system, vendors and special interests and lobbyists and even the bureaucrats that work there. To many, these are sacred cows. As if somehow appointed boards and commissions would be preferable to oversight and management by an elected official who, both by law and custom, is accountable to the people. Now, I do not wish to imply that all boards and councils or commissions are unnecessary. For example, the IHL board and the community college board provide valuable service and act as a buffer against political interference in higher education. The Ethics Commission is certainly a standard of accountability that provides the very foundation for public service. I will ask this session for an addition to these entities. Creating the Mississippi Faith-Based and Community Advisory Council will elicit, empower, and expand the work of volunteer faith-based and community organizations. I believe it will strengthen families across Mississippi and at no cost to taxpayers. Similar councils exist in a number of states, including Florida, where Rabbi Jeff Kurtzlander served before coming to Mississippi and leading the Beth Israel congregation. I want to sincerely thank Rabbi Kurtzlander for bringing this concept to my attention. I believe it will be a valuable tool to help serve our families and individuals in need. Now, I will also ask you to terminate at least 16 boards that have not met in over a year. Now, this is the proverbial low-hanging fruit for improving our governmental system. Now, obviously, more substantive reorganizational recommendations will be discussed as the session progresses. Now, while we're seeking efficiency, I believe it's also time to look at ways to grow revenue without raising taxes. As I stated in my budget recommendation, I'm open to a general discussion regarding the implementation of a state lottery. As you know, voters cleared the legal pathway for a lottery in 1992 when they chose to remove the constitutional prohibition and allow this legislature to provide authorization and control. Arkansas, the state closest to us in population and demographics, received $80 million from its lottery last fiscal year. That kind of data demands attention. When we see traffic crowded on the Mississippi River Bridge taking revenue to our neighboring state, it may be time to face a new reality. We can no longer contain the people's desire for a lottery. We can only force them to travel. Now, as many of you know, we have already embarked on one of the largest and longest and most meaningful celebrations in our state history. Our beloved Mississippi turns 200 years young in December. Before Alabama, there was Mississippi. Before there was California or Texas or Florida, there was Mississippi. It is now time for the 20th state to enter the Union to celebrate our history and embrace a brighter future. Our bicentennial is the perfect opportunity to share with the world everything that makes Mississippi the best place in America to live and work and raise a family. I hope everyone here and listening at home will participate in the events our communities have planned to mark this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. I hope you all embrace the reality that we are allowed this moment in time to join our hands and our hearts and reinforce those cherished ties that bind us into statehood. And like most nations and states, Mississippi has had its trials and tribulations that cannot be forgotten or excused. But we also have a rich history that should be celebrated by us collectively. We were first inhabited by Native Americans who continue to preserve their culture. We're joined tonight by my dear friend who leads the original and first people of the state, the chief of the noble Choctaw Nation, Chief Phyllis Anderson. Chief Anderson. Now, that's a woman taking charge. From our history, we remember that Spanish and French explorers such as de Soto and D'Iberville sought out the Mississippi Territory for its natural resources and beauty. Frontiersmen and women carved out the land to homestead. Then the very soul of our state was tried as a tragic civil war. And the bondage of our own into slavery brought destruction and hardship. Generations struggled during Reconstruction and conflict, Great Depressions and world wars tempered the agrarian society that survived. But out of this crucible came a determined people from the dark days of civil rights struggle to the freedom of the New South. Mississippi did more than just endure. We have prevailed. Now, after 200 years, we're becoming a leader in aerospace and automobile manufacturing. Our people make the world's most advanced warships and radar systems. New medical schools and research centers rise up from the landscape. Historical and Civil Rights Museum will join those dedicated to the blues, the Grammys, and to B.B. King, whose final resting place is at his museum in Indianola, Mississippi. Arts and entertainment centers will reside in the home of the father of country music, Jimmie Rodgers. As the birthplace of America's music, we will continue to entertain the world and guide visitors on trails of blues and country music and civil rights, and invite the public to visit the birthplace of a king in Tupelo, Mississippi. 200 years after its founding, the state of Mississippi is better than ever. As always, naysayers will find every reason to reinforce the belief that Mississippi will never come together to heal our wounds and achieve greatness. But we know better because we are doing so every day. There's a greatness in our people who are the most generous and hospitable of any in the nation. There's a greatness in their talent and their ingenuity and their courage. I've seen similar traits and conditions among the people of Israel, one of the nation's and world's most complex and diverse countries. When in Israel you see the hospitality and welcoming that are so common, you feel the deep faith of Judaism, but also an acceptance and understanding of other religions and denominations. No one seeks peace more than the Jews. Their salutation, shalom, peace to you. Mississippi has sought this elusive blessing as we struggled to become one state. Our people have endured the harshest of times and treatment and still achieved greatness. This greatness, we pray, will exist in our time and for all time for Mississippi. For as it was written so long ago, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves, pray and seek my face, then will I hear from heaven and will heal their land. May this promise always be our guide. And may God continue to bless Mississippi and the United States of America. Thank you so much for having me tonight. God bless you all.
Thank you, Governor, for those remarks. As this joint assembly comes to a close, I would like to recognize the gentleman from Holmes to dissolve the joint session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this joint assembly now be dissolved.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the motion from the gentleman from Holmes that this joint assembly be dissolved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
And now the Democratic response.
Good evening. My name is David Beria, Chairman of the Mississippi House of Representatives Democratic Caucus. Representative Sonia Williams Barnes, Chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, and Senator Bill Stone, Chair of the Senate Democratic Caucus, join me to offer the Democratic response to the Governor's State of the State address. Mississippi does have a lot to brag about. Things like our legendary musicians, best-selling authors, sports heroes, beautiful scenery, world-renowned medical research, and even rocket engines. Unfortunately, too often we lose the next great artist, doctor, innovator, and rocket scientist to other places across the country because there are many important things that we cannot brag about, like these. Mississippi has created fewer jobs since 2003 than the number we've lost. We have lost 3.2% of our total population to migration between 2014 and 2015 as our children graduate and move out of state for better opportunities. Mississippi ranks 49th nationally in health outcomes. We aggressively compete for the title of the poorest state in our nation. Mississippi women are paid 31% less annually than what men are paid for the same work. Poverty-stricken Mississippians pay a larger percentage of their income in taxes, 10.4%, almost twice as much as the wealthy. Our infrastructure is crumbling. There are 936 state bridges and 24,591 miles of state roads that aren't able to hold up to the traffic they were designed for. It is estimated that the fix will cost $375 million per year.
Yes, those are very sobering facts. But we are encouraged to see some of our Republican colleagues come around to our way of thinking lately. We're hearing that there will be bills presented to address the very dangerous condition of our infrastructure. No one wants, and many cannot afford, the extra hours traveling to and from work because a bridge is out. No one wants to send their children off to school in the morning just praying that there won't be a wreck caused by a crumbling road. The notorious gender pay gap has allowed people to join hands across the aisle in support of our efforts to make sure women are paid the same as men for the same work. With so many of Mississippi's working women being the sole breadwinners of their families, their paycheck literally may mean the difference between their children eating and going hungry. While we understand that education funding isn't what it should be and that we may revise the funding formula, we look forward to working together to fully fund public education and put our children on a path to success in life. Democrats have consistently offered bills that will address all of these issues and hope that this year they will pass with support from leadership.
That's right, Representative Williams Barnes. The Democrats have consistently pledged to work in reasonable collaboration with our Republican colleagues. The House and Senate Republican leadership only need to allow Democrats an opportunity for input and meaningful discussion about legislation. David, just the other day, you all passed a comprehensive campaign finance reform bill, House Bill 479, a very important piece of legislation. It has bipartisan support, and the idea deserves support on the Senate end of the building as well. This is the way your legislature was designed to work. That's just one of the important issues we face this year, including the budget, that will require consensus. As you know, the governor just made another round of cuts to agencies, some of which had already been cut to the bone last year. Democrats are concerned that without a plan to generate more revenue, there will be further cuts. Our state is in a precarious financial position, and essential services that our citizens rely on every day are already in jeopardy.
Yes, as someone said recently, if cheap labor and low taxes were the keys to economic development, we'd be the richest state in the union. Democrats have good ideas about how we can generate more revenue and put our state back on sound financial footing. They include good-paying jobs. We support legislation to fix our roads and bridges and create 4,000 jobs in the process. Raising the minimum wage to at least $9 an hour, because no hard-working Mississippian should have to work a full-time job and still live in poverty. Equal pay for equal work. Nobody should make less simply because they are a woman. Availability of child care for working Mississippians so they can stay working. Making sure our mental health care system is adequately funded. The mentally ill of our state deserve to have the best care possible so that they can lead full, contributing lives.
Available basic health care, including mental health care for everyone, healthy people or working people. Workers' rights, including the right to come together and negotiate a fair wage and reasonable working hours. Unions built the American middle class, and they will rebuild it. Transparency and accountability in government, responsible to the taxpayers of this state. No more secrecy in your government. Full funding of your public schools. If Republicans believe, like we do, that Mississippi's kids can't wait, then we must make K through 12 funding a priority and not just a catchphrase.
Democrats understand that people are tired of partisan bickering and want their government to work for them. I hear it every day at home in my district, and I don't think that concern is unique to my part of the state. Mississippians see partisanship in Washington on display every time they turn on the news, and they think that's the way things work in Jackson, too. We are committed to working with our Republican colleagues to tackle these and other big issues, and we ask them to join us in showing Mississippians that we can do better than Washington. The problems we face weren't created overnight and are too big to be solved by one party or the other. After all, that's what our constituents sit here to do, solve problems and make our state and their hometowns a better place to live.
We thank you for your attention and welcome your input or concerns about any issue before us. We also invite you to come see us at your state capitol and watch your legislature in action. We are scheduled to conclude our business on April 2nd this year.
At the end of this segment, please watch the screen for important email and phone numbers to contact your legislators. You'll also see the web address for the legislature where you can watch the live video feed of our floor deliberations.
On behalf of our caucus, I wish to say thank you and good night.
You've heard both sides. Now it's up to lawmakers to decide how to respond. Watch the debates unfold on MPB's At Issue, where we provide coverage and offer analysis on a wide range of issues facing the state. Tune in Fridays at 7:30, only on MPB.